I want to say good morning and welcome to the School Nutrition Association podcast titled Research Unboxing, Exploring Recent School Nutrition Studies from the Journal of Child Nutrition and Management. I'm Keith Rushing, and I'm the editor of the journal. And my co-host this morning is Dr. Marjuyua Lartey Gibson, who is the director of the Institute of Child Nutrition Applied Research Division. Today we will be talking with Kelsey Anderson. Kelsey is the co-author of a research article that was recently published in the Journal of Child Nutrition Management. The title of that article was a qualitative analysis of elementary school education students' perception of breakfast in the classroom before and after an educational video intervention. Kelsey is working on her master's degree at Brigham Young University, and she recently completed 1,200 hours of supervised practice as part of a dietetics internship. Kelsey's research focus is school breakfast and breakfast in the classroom. Kelsey, welcome. And now I'm going to turn it over to Marjuyua.
Thanks, Keith. And to all our listeners, please hold on to your questions because we will definitely get to those at the end. As a reminder, you don't have to worry about missing anything. The episode is being recorded and will be available on SNA's website after the conference. Feel free to replay it or share it with your colleagues. Now, let's get to the good stuff. We're thrilled to have Kelsey Anderson here with us today. Welcome, Kelsey.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Great. To start things off, could you share with the audience why you and your colleagues chose to dive into this particular area of research?
Yes. So we chose to study elementary education majors' perceptions of school breakfast, and specifically looking at breakfast in the classroom. And we chose that topic because previously in the past, a research article from our research team talked about teachers' perceptions of school breakfast. And they found that out of the 5 models of school breakfast, out of traditional school breakfast, grab and go, vending option, second chance breakfast, and breakfast in the classroom, breakfast in the classroom was their least preferred model of school breakfast, and they preferred traditional school breakfast the most. So our research team decided to take a step back and to think, well, how can we help those teachers be more receptive to breakfast in the classroom? And what the hypothesis is if we first educate elementary education majors while they're studying to become teachers and let them know about the benefits of school breakfast, that they would be more receptive to learning a new model of breakfast delivery and one day doing that in their classroom. Because it's hard as a teacher, once you're in that setting already, there's other people's opinions of school breakfast, you have your own classroom and responsibilities, and changing perceptions at that stage might be more difficult than when they're in the learning stage. And we know that breakfast in the classroom has been shown in the research to increase participation of students that qualify for free or reduced lunch, and that only about half that participate in school lunch participate in school breakfast program. So finding ways to educate about breakfast in the classroom was important to our research team, and focusing on that specific population of elementary education majors made sense to us. That let's see if we can change their perceptions by showing them an educational video.
Okay. Kelsey, thank you for that. Can you tell us what data or information you collected?
Yeah, of course. What we did as a research team is we chose one Western state and we surveyed elementary education majors, and we had a pre-test survey where they were asked about their perceptions, attitudes, questions regarding school breakfast and breakfast in the classroom, and as well as 3 open response questions. A week later, they were sent the same survey, but before taking that survey, they were given an educational video. And that was about a 5-minute video about the school breakfast and breakfast in the classroom. And then they were asked to take those same survey questions again. That way, we could look at their pre-test responses and their post-test responses after the video and see if there was changes. We specifically looked at the qualitative data for this study, which is just looking at the open response questions. And so we were looking at their answers to the 3 questions. Why do you think school breakfast participation is low in their state? How would you assess your readiness as a future teacher to support breakfast in the classroom? And what concerns they might have about implementing breakfast in the classroom as a teacher. And we analyzed their responses to those 3 questions, and we, as a research team, coded them and made themes as part of our qualitative analysis of their responses to see if there was changes and to see what things came up over and over again from their answers.
Kelsey, what did the results of your research demonstrate?
Yeah, it was really exciting. It took a long time to read all of the pre-test responses and the post-test responses, but we went participant by participant, and we saw that there was a positive change in a lot of the participants, the elementary education students' perception about school breakfast and breakfast in the classroom after taking the survey. For example, some of the student teachers said, I feel more confident after having watched the video. After watching the video, I see the value in breakfast in the classroom, and I feel that I can do it in my classroom after watching the video. So just the fact that our results showed that if you educate in a simple way, that they are receptive to that education, and that you can see that change just from their open response questions, even when you're asking the same question, that it improved. So that was exciting. And then, as mentioned, there was 3 main themes that we saw and that emerged from our looking at those responses and categorizing them. The first theme that we saw was knowledge and readiness. And that included anytime the participants mentioned something about, I feel ready, I don't feel ready, I don't know about this. And it was interesting to see what they said. For example, one of the participants said that they felt not ready. They said, I don't truly understand what the program is, so I need some more information before I support it. That being said, I'm not unsupportive, I'm just unaware. And that was from her pre-test response. In her post-test response, so after watching the video, that same participant said, I definitely feel like I know more about how it works and feel more confident in its value. The video helped me understand that.
Wow.
So they were unaware of school breakfast in general, and who qualified, and they didn't understand who paid for it, and they gained some of that knowledge in the video, but some still wanted more knowledge and more training before they felt that they could implement breakfast in the classroom, and they expressed that in their post answers as well. That was the first theme. The second theme that we saw was logistics, and this was any response that related to the logistics of how do I implement breakfast in the classroom as a teacher. And some of those responses that the participants said were, oh, well, I don't know how that would work. I just don't know about the mess. I don't know about how I would deal with the distraction of the students, what I would do during that time as a teacher. And so they expressed this unsure of what that meant for them as a teacher implementing breakfast in the classroom. One participant said, time seems short already. Does breakfast in the classroom work or does it not? It seems like a concern. And that was one of those responses to the question, what concerns do you have? However, one interesting thing that we found in the post-test responses, when it was themed in logistics, we saw that the same participant said afterwards that general management might be tricky, but as soon as it became a routine, I don't think that would be an issue at all. So they expressed that students were malleable, that they could use that breakfast in the classroom. That time that it took to implement it would be hard, but after a while, they think they could get a hang of it, just like any other routine or program that they implement with their students, that they would be able to. So that was the logistics theme that we talked about. And then the last theme was social implications. And that included any response that related to the social implications or the stigma of school breakfast. Because one of those questions we asked them was why they thought school breakfast was low in their state. And a lot of them responded that they thought that was low because of stigma that could arise from traditional school breakfast of eating in the cafeteria before school. And breakfast in the classroom attempts to decrease that by having it after the first bell rings, everyone together in the classroom eating at the same time. So that was an interesting find as well. And the other thing that we looked at along with that social implication theme was that they felt that some parents just wanted to provide for their own kids. That was a social theme that the participants expressed in their responses. And they were worried about that social stigma and the social theme of what would it look like for the students? Would everyone participate? And they had questions about those. So that was the third. There was the knowledge and readiness theme, logistics, and the social implications.
Interesting. So Kelsey, tell us, what can child nutrition professionals do with this information?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the most helpful thing about this research was that people can change. They can change their perceptions with just a simple video, and that school nutrition professionals can take this information and have hope that if there's a group of people that they want to educate and they are hoping to implement maybe a new model or suggest a new model, that using the research and looking in the literature to back up that breakfast in the classroom has been shown to be helpful for these students and has benefits. If there's stakeholders they want to talk to, parents, just like we did with elementary education majors, that there are other audiences that can be receptive to this information with the right education and training.
Kelsey, can this research be replicated?
Yes. And I think that it doesn't have to be with the video. It just would have to involve asking people beforehand what their perceptions were. You could call it a survey. You could call it just a questionnaire. Because sometimes older adults don't respond as well to taking a survey, maybe just asking them what their perceptions are at baseline. And then it doesn't have to be a video. It could be a presentation. It could be an email. It could be any sort of simple education, and then asking them after, was there a change in your perceptions? And they don't have to, the audience doesn't need to know like that you're looking at if there was a change. They just want to know what were their perceptions before and what were they after.
Yeah.
Kelsey, could you share a little bit more information about the educational video in the study, such as what were the main messages?
Yeah. So the educational video was developed a couple of years ago by our research team. It's a doodly video, which is the drawings of like stick figures and stick figure kids. And we hired a voice actor to talk over the video of the drawings. And we designed the script, and it was all back in the research. And we actually just adapted the video again for my current research project. We're doing the same study, but on a national level. And so we wanted it to be more up to date with the statistics that we have. And also we added some things to make the video more culturally appropriate for different regions. And so the video talked about these benefits of school breakfast. It gave the viewers of the video an idea of why school breakfast started in the first place and the challenges that students encounter, or kids encounter, if they do go hungry and they are waiting for their next meal. It tells about the nutrition guidelines. A lot of people are unaware that you need to have a fruit and vegetable at a meal. You need to have 50% whole grains, nutrition guidelines like that from the USDA. So there was a quick part about that, who it's for, qualifying students, and the different poverty levels. And then it goes over the 5 models of school breakfast, and then specifically talks about at the end breakfast in the classroom and those benefits and how it would look logistically for a teacher. And at the very end, it clips to a real viewing of students going into a cafeteria, grabbing the meals, and then bringing it back to their classroom and showing how the teacher could do administrative activities or taking a role or just helping the students with breakfast, so that the viewers of the video could get an idea of what this would actually look like in real life. So along with the doodly video, there was that clip at the end. It was about a 5-minute video.
Kelsey, is this video readily available to school nutrition directors?
At the moment, we're working on how to distribute it and work it out. It's difficult because the guidelines do change and statistics are updated, but we're working on how we could get that distributed right now.
Thanks.
Keith, would you like to get some questions from the audience?
Yes, ma'am, please.
All right, audience, do you have any questions for our researcher? What age group of education majors were you working with?
That's a great question. We asked them in the survey to respond with what education major. So we had them in different groups. So they were K through 12.
And were they freshmen, sophomores, juniors in college?
We asked them if they'd begun student teaching yet.
Okay.
So some of them had, and usually you do your student teaching later in your junior or senior year.
Okay.
But we tried to get them when they were in their freshman and sophomore year, so it was before they had encountered the classroom. And that's what we're trying to do with our research project right now.
And so you did not, for your demographics, you didn't ask for specific ages?
We do have those numbers. I don't have them with me right now, but it should be in the published article on the website.
Okay. Find that information in the Journal of Child Nutrition Management. Okay, well, I do have another question.
Yeah.
What challenges would a school nutrition professional face if they tried to replicate your research?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say for any research study, recruitment is definitely difficult. Trying to get participants and having them respond not only to one survey but 2 surveys is difficult. So retention is hard when you ask them a week later to take a second survey. Some people just won't, and then you have some incomplete data. And another thing that we're seeing is, which we know people are more incentivized if they have some money reward, an Amazon gift card. And so it'll take resources as well if you want to offer that incentive for participants to get a gift card or some sort of incentive after taking the pre-test and the post-test. So that takes money and time, and it's difficult, but it's doable.
All right, it's doable. My final question would be, based on your research findings, how do you see the perceptions of breakfast changing in the future?
That's a great question. I think the biggest takeaway is that people are unwilling to change their ideas or implement new things. They just lack the knowledge. They haven't heard of these things. They don't know how it would work, how it would change their routine. And so perceptions can be changed, and they can be changed in a positive way. And that the more people that learn about breakfast in the classroom, the more positive people will think about it. So the more we talk about it and discuss these things, the better future.
Wow. Well, thank you, Kelsey. Can we give her a hand clap? Thank you so much for sharing your insights and your findings. It's really fascinating to look at the impact that education and awareness can have on choices that people make, and even perceptions of our future teachers regarding school breakfast programs. So this is really important. And I can see the connection between not just future teachers, but even educating current teachers who may be resistant to breakfast in the classroom. So this is really important. Now I'd like to take a moment to step back and talk a bit about something that is equally as exciting, and that is this podcast series, which is a new initiative for the Journal of Child Nutrition Management. And they are so thrilled to be doing this and presenting this at this conference. as an engaging opportunity, a format for our viewers. So, Keith, do you mind sharing a bit about what's going on with the Journal of Child Nutrition, how people can get involved, and why this podcast is so important?
Absolutely. So let me first tell you a little bit about the journal. The primary audience for the Journal of Child Nutrition and Management is anybody that's involved or that's interested in child nutrition programs. So this would include school and child nutrition professionals at an administrative level, school community members, public and policy stakeholders at all levels of government, students, faculty, researchers, and industry and organization representatives. The purpose of the journal is to provide useful and relevant information, which I think Kelsey demonstrated this morning, the information that she found in her research. And it's to find research or other evidence-based information to provide to these audiences. The journal accepts manuscripts in 5 different categories: commentary, current issues, research in action, research briefs, and practical solutions. Each manuscript in the journal is subject to a blind peer review, considering many factors, including the topic, relevance, originality, readability of the article, writing style, and the appropriate research methods to include statistical analysis, results, discussion, conclusions, references and applications for child nutrition professionals. I don't have a lot of time this morning to get into a lot more detail, but if you would like more information, please go to the School Nutrition Association website or contact me directly at keith.rushing@usm.edu. Thank you, Marjuyua.
Keith, are we going to be seeing more of these kinds of podcasts in the future?
I think so. I hope so. I think this is a good way to present information to our audience and get the information out there.
Great, great. Well, we have a few more minutes. Audience, we're going to give it to you one more time to see if you have any questions for Keith, for Kelsey. The question is, corporate-wise, how do you handle resistance from breakfast in the classroom from teachers with breakfast in the classroom from a corporate perspective? Are we talking about administrators, principals, and the like, or are we talking about food businesses? Okay. Principals and staff being resistant.
It's difficult. And in all transparency, I'm a graduate student, so I haven't been on the front line of trying to firsthand change their attitudes and their perceptions of it. But I have read a lot in the research and studies about schools that have transferred and transitioned from traditional to breakfast in the classroom. And there's studies out there where they've looked at stakeholders like principals or kitchen staff, and it's difficult. It's hard. One study, though, that I looked at showed if you do educate beforehand, it does make a smoother transition, but it's hard when they won't even address the topic to begin with. But I think showing them the research and showing them there's another study that shows it's actually breakfast in the classroom is more cost effective despite what people may think, because it requires more staff or maybe more money. Because more students participate, it is more cost effective. So I would say, in my limited experience, showing them the facts of the research and what good it could do for the students and the difference of traditional versus breakfast in the classroom, because traditional does have some stigma still associated with it, or late bus schedules, and advocating for that and trying to understand where they come from and work with them to solve problems of logistic problems of mess and those things.
Website for the research. I'm sure that they don't have a physical website at her university, you can review the article on the SNA website when you go to the Journal of Child Nutrition Management. I would add to what she's saying about breakfast in the classroom. A lot of time, success stories, being able to show success in other places is important for administrators to show them that this has been done in this school district with this population. It has been successful. So that is why it is really important to try to connect with people here at the conference who have had success identifying people. The Institute of Child Nutrition does have some information on breakfast in the classroom. Maybe, as she mentioned, educating. You don't have her video available, but our organization does have information about breakfast in the classroom. I'm sure there are other organizations represented here today. SNA, of course, would have information on data related to that. So I think equipping your administrators, letting them know that it's possible, that there is positive impact on it, makes a difference. I mean, we all know what we're supposed to do. We don't always want to do it. So it may be an opportunity, too, for you also to do a trial run. Let's try it for a week. Let's go in and do this for 1 week, look at the logistics, and look at the success. Good question. Any other questions before we move?
Marjorie, let me just take a minute and promote the journal just a little bit. We come out with 2 issues every year, and all of the current issues as well as back issues are available on our website. So I encourage you to look at the journal and see what research is out there that's available. Because if you've got questions on how to handle certain issues, there's likely research out there that identifies that. And then if you're a researcher and you're looking to do the research, the School Nutrition Association has a research committee that establishes what they feel are the nutrition research topics that are important and relevant every year. And so if you're looking for a topic to do in research, this is a good place to go to the website. If you go to our website and you look up school nutrition research, you'll be able to find the priorities that the School Nutrition Association has identified.
Yes, SNA is a key resource, but tap into your neighbors. You learn really well from people around you. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions or comments, we thank you so much for your time. Thank you for stopping by to visit with us. Kelsey is available if you have additional questions that you didn't want to ask in front of the group. Thank you again.
Thank you, Marjuyua. Thank you, Kelsey.